We're looking here at the Lady of Shalott. We're looking at the stanza about Sir Lancelot. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see, hung in the golden galaxy. The bridle bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung beside remote Shalott. Okay, to quote Juan Mascaro in his introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, he says, a poem has many layers of suggestion, and this poem too has many layers of suggestion. This is from The Lady of Shalott by Lord Tennyson. Now, if you read it several times through, it'll start to drip with its own type of eroticism, and it is a nice, tastefully done eroticism. It's one with great art. It uses suggestion, and it uses indirect suggestion to make erotic statements. The gemmy bridle glittered free. Okay, the gems is covered. The bridle is gemmy. That's the thing to put in the horse's mouth, the bridle, isn't it? The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see, hung in the golden galaxy. The bridle bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot. The bridle, that's for the bridle to put on the horse, not bridal as in wedding. And from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung. Okay, blazoned means with heraldic shield or coat of arms, etc. A blazoned baldric slung. A baldric is a belt for a sword, buckle, or bugle, etc., hung from shoulder across the body to the opposite hip. And from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung beside remote Shalott. Okay, there's a reference there to his masculinity, his potency, his virility, where it says a mighty silver bugle. Okay, that's fair enough. That's pretty obviously a phallic symbol. Mighty silver bugle hung. The mighty isn't as we think of it today, like when everyone has breast implants and a giant penis implant. This is just mighty, referring to his virility. A mighty silver bugle hung. And before that we have, and from his blazoned baldric slung. Okay, you've got the rhythm of the poem too. That's the rhythm of the river is throughout this poem. It's all throughout this poem, the rhythm of the river. But in this sequence, you've got the rhythm of Lancelot's riding on the horse, and as he does so, his testicles jiggle up and down. And this is expressed here as he rode down to Camelot. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see, hung in the golden galaxy. The bridle bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung, a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung beside remote Shalott. You've got a reference there. If you can't see it or imagine it or feel it, well, you can't see it or imagine it or feel it. Some people can't see subliminals in newspapers either. They can't see sex written over everything. No matter how you try and show them, they just can't see it. But anyway, this is done tastefully. As Georgy Nazonov says, great suggestion is one with great art. And this is great art. It's said indirectly. It's not really said directly, except for obvious reference to a mighty bugle hung for a phallic symbol there. And you've got some onomatopoeia there for and from his blazoned baldric slung. You've got a little bit of testicular onomatopoeia there, just a touch of it, just to imply. Not everyone's going to pick that up. Yes. And you've specifically got the rhythm there, the rhythm of jiggling testicles. If you've ridden a horse, you would know what I'm talking about, wouldn't you? And if you have a sexual imagination, you can imagine it too. It's just all part. It's beautifully written eroticism. Some people try to write erotic writing, and it sounds sleazy or slutty. To be quite frank, that's because not everyone can write beautiful erotic imagery. This is very well done. Yes. Yes. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see, hung in the golden galaxy. The bridle bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot. I don't make any reference to the word hung. I mean, modern people say well hung and this and that, but I don't think that's a specific reference there. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see. And note that I said specific. The great art is non-specific, as Georgi Lazonov in his book on suggestion says. Great suggestion is indirect, it's on the second plane, it's non-specific, it's not liminal, it's subliminal, it's peripheral, it's on the second plane of our awareness. And the eroticism in this section here that I'm reading from is largely in the second plane. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see, hung in the golden galaxy. The bridle bells rang merrily as he rode down to Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung beside remote Shalott. Hung in the golden galaxy, the bridle bells rang merrily. Yes, it is a sort of hung, but it's not a coarse sort of hung. Hung in the golden galaxy, the bridle bells rang merrily, as he rode down to Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armour rung beside remote Shalott. I'm not going to spell it all out for you. If you can appreciate it and imagine it, you can. If you can't, you can't. Next time, perhaps, I'll talk about an abbot on an ambling pad, sometimes a curly shepherd lad, or long-haired page in crimson clad. What was the abbot doing, and what was the curly shepherd lad and the long-haired page in crimson clad doing? Well, that's another story. But it must be remembered, yes, so much can be said on the second plane. It's said indirectly. Great art says what it wants to say without saying it directly, and even without saying it. It's like in music, the spaces are just as important as the notes, aren't they?